might change their plan here, you know. They're thinking about their 4,000 IQ strategies. The first they'll cheese, and then they won't cheese, and then they'll cheese, and they won't cheese, and then they'll cheese, and it's like, you know, I want them to be aware they can do that. Let's get that up on the scoreboard so I don't forget. In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, she is Kyuubi. In the top left, as the pink Zerg, she is Tilea. Tilea, an old name for many of you who are watching, you recognize, you're like, oh yeah, she was an NA pro gamer. And I was like, yes, that is her, exactly. Kyuubi, maybe a little less well known. I certainly didn't know about her. I know she had played in some tournaments, but I thought she was a Masters 1 player, as in maybe she just recently got Masters 1 or something like that. But no, apparently she was really high up there on the European ladder. I mean, 6100 European ladder is like seriously legit. She has gone back down to 5.5, not playing as much, maybe a couple of, you know, too many bad days in a row type thing, but that's still really, really impressive. So, you know, as I hope everyone's paying attention for the finals, I'll kind of reiterate what we know about these players. Kyuubi 5.5, Tilea 5.2-ish is what I gather from the chat on NA. Now, people are going to be like, well, that means that Kyuubi is much better, right? Well, with Telea's past experience as a pro gamer, oftentimes, you know, when they're taking it more casually, they still have these very good competitive runs. We see it a lot of through a lot of skill levels, through a lot of breaks. Basically, you'll see someone take 5 years break and come back and be okay-ish in an open bracket. You'll see someone take 2 years off and still come back as one of the top, you know, Korean pros. Right? That's literally happening right now as we speak. So there's that weird effect, basically. OMG Brando, thank you for the 100 bits. Will I make a man-only tournament? No. If you would like to discuss why female-only tournaments or any minority-only tournaments exist, then first I would suggest reading up on it yourself. We do a little bit of Googling, you know, learn about some, you know, social factors and all that jazz. And then if you still are confused and would like to have an open discussion, well, then I advise you to find someone who's willing to talk to you instead of just, you know, potentially being a douche in Twitch chat. You know, there's kind of like two options here, you know what I mean? But anyways. Openers standard for both players. Got 4 lings to 4 lings. Now, Kyuubi's been playing, you know, some players that have really had some very large openings in the opening. You know what? I'm being really dumb. Never mind. I shouldn't be hired as a caster anymore. Let me rephrase this. She's been playing a lot of players that have had weaknesses in the early game. That sounds so much smarter. And as such has had maybe easier mid games and late games because she already killed 5, 6, 7 drones or whatever. I don't think that'll be the case for Tilea. I think they're going to really test each other around the third base. They're both getting third bases, so this is that point where usually both Zerg players say, okay, we have to test each other. We have to make 20 lings and see what we can do. So Tilea is getting a bit later of a bailing nest, but I'm sure she's well aware of that fact, and Kyuubi is probably going to make, you know, 20 lings of her own. Sometimes, even when they go for the third hatch, even when they go for the bailing nest, the Zergs are like, you know, rush 20 and it's fine, but we do see some lings on the way already. One of the things you really would like to have happen is to be able to dodge out some overlords, because it's the early game, right? There's only so many overlords to dodge out, and to get some banelings on the front line, but the best Zerg players exactly are going to be able to look for that, and are usually going to send the 4th or 5th overlord over to search for that too. So she might not be able to take it down. Ooh, and takes kind of a nasty hit right there. She at least knows about it. Tilea, where are your banelings? The baneling nest finished maybe like 15 seconds ago, but she didn't have really the peace of mind to go ahead and make her own, and that's a big problem here. The queens have to come forward and try and, maybe that was, no, okay, that was just rallied wrong. That was just a move to the hatchery. This is really awkward. They were supposed to snipe the baneling, and then the ling spawning out here, there we go. We're supposed to be able to hold. But this is one of those parts where you just feel really bad about DBZ, because sometimes that can snowball. But Kyuubi is reinforcing now. There aren't any other banelings right here right now, and these two are even canceled. So Tilea should be fine on the third base. Only some light harassment happened over here, which you can see was taken care of quite nicely. Now, losing a queen it can still be a big contributor. You know, the third base larva with the ling wars is really gonna be a big issue, but at least the third base isn't down. That's when things are really, really tough to come back with the ling-intensive, larva-intensive lings. Ling-intensive style is where I was gonna go. But these Ling scuffles are evening out. Tilea is still ahead by 2 drones and is winning the Ling wars. He's gonna miss 1 Baneling, but you know 1 Baneling does not kill drones, so this will just... I mean, it'll panic Tilea for a second there, but then she's gonna have to make sure not to let any Lings through. Actually, that Baneling decided to go into the natural. It's gonna die, though. Didn't actually do anything. An awkward curve over to the right side. Roachhorn is placed down. This is a tough decision by Zerg players to make. Are we done with the Ling Baneling phase, or aren't we done? The person who thinks they're done and they really aren't sometimes just loses in very silly fashion. But this counter is not so bad. Tilea was able to take care of the 2 Banelings that were defending, I suppose. 1 comes forward. It's a decent hit. But these 2 to 2, this would be worth for Tilea to trade out with. Exactly what she's trying to do here. Oh, it happens. Kyuubi with a little bit of a misclick there is going to lose all of her Lings, and she also added on a Roachhorn. Might have felt a little bit behind. Is now going to fall even further behind because she's lost the Ling war. Tilea might have gotten the Roachhorn, but she actually didn't stop making Lings. And the Banelings connecting like that, Kyuubi might have just made a huge mistake. Kyuubi is really getting pressured here. This one last Baneling has got to get a really good shot, and it's just not going to happen. Needs to kill maybe like 10 Lings and only gets 1. Kyuubi trying to also reproduce those queens. Gonna have to reproduce yet another one, getting that last second inject in there in case the hatchery lives, but I don't think it's gonna live. I think this might be it. Tilea is gonna take out Kyuubi, which I gotta mention, both of these players have gone undefeated. That's weird. Yeah, okay, there we go. Have gone undefeated in this tournament. So this would be the first loss, but maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. I thought those bands were gonna get better hits than they did. This still is a very poor position for our blue Zerg. Kyuubi down 15, 16 drones, 17 drones. Math is hard. And down to that army supply. And this is basically game over. Kyuubi doesn't have enough of an army to really threaten a counter. An issue here is also gas. You know, at the time where she was probably going to add on 2 gases was when she felt the most pressured. So she doesn't even have that much gas to really make that many Banelings or make that many roaches. Now kind of waffling between I should push, I shouldn't push, I should try and be scary, I'm not scary, I should drone. Kind of moved out, but then pulled back, and now is getting drones and a hatchery, but even with Tilea with a little bit of a supply block here, she is really far ahead. Why do all girls play Zerg? To be honest, a lot of girls do play Zerg, and there's no explanation, but we did have a fair number of Terrans and Protoss here today, so. Plus I play Terran. Let's not forget about that. How is a comeback gonna happen? You know, Kyuubi could take a page out of the last game here. Out of Vriska's playstyle and go for like hidden mutas, but her lair is so late that I don't think that'll be worth it. If her lair started immediately once she realized like, oh shit, like I'm really far behind, I gotta think about it some way to come back, I think there's a chance, but it's actually Tilea who's going for the Spire faster. And that is... that will be the kill move if she gets to the mutas, which I think she will. But it also could be a big weakness. If Kyuubi was just calling like perfect shots here, you know, taking the right guesses, and she didn't go for the lair and instead just made as many roaches as possible with a lot of Banelings and attacked while Tilea was saving up money and gas for the Spire, we've seen Zergs lose because of this. They are definitely ahead. All they need to do is survive until the Spire is done, and they die. That has happened. But unfortunately, Kyuubi isn't... I mean, it's guesswork, right? She doesn't have an overseer to scout the Spire. There's no Lings getting into the natural either. She's not guessing correctly. So she's trying to macro, but also trying to survive against the roaches, but the roaches aren't really going to be the huge issue. Tilea is making spine crawlers anyways. Maybe afraid of some tunneling claws action, which would be another way to come back, but... yeah, Kyuubi is thinking about that Spire. It's too late. It's too late in more ways than one, I guess. She's losing out in the Roach War a little bit. Okay, she's gonna hold here, but she's gonna lose out in the Muta War. If the Spire's 30 seconds behind, okay, maybe it's like a minute behind, but if it's like a full Spire behind, you usually don't win. So it's gonna be a tap out. GG. Game number 1 goes to Tilea. Not the most explosive ends there, but I think just you know, general, like, you know, I can come from behind. No, I can't. I can, no, I can't. Okay, you know, F it. Let's just go into the next game. So the first loss for Kyuubi. How is she gonna take this? Change things up, go for a bit more aggression? Most girls play Zerg for the same reason as most guys play Zerg. It's imbalanced and easy. It has nothing to do with gender. You know what? I actually really like that explanation. There are a lot of male Zerg players. No one talks about that, do they? Let's see if I missed anything here. Da-da-da. Oh, no, I don't think so. In ZVZ, do you not spread creep? So that's a bit of an interesting discussion. So, in certain circumstances, you do absolutely want to spread creep to a certain degree. Let's say if you're up against mutas and you're going Roach Hydra, you need creep spreads to take you to your fourth base, your third and fourth base. And maybe a little bit then some, just to get some scouting. But then you have to worry about helping their banelings, potentially, by doing too much creep spread. Then you have some stylistic preferences. Some people think that the vision granted is better than the potential that you'll help your opponent more than you help yourself. So, general answer, no, you don't really have to creep spread, just kind of between your bases. But there are some specifics where maybe you want to. This tournament went by pretty quickly. I mean, I think it's still a pretty solid 3 hours, which I'm happy about, but I guess I'm not complaining at all. I'm just noting something. Non-interesting fact. It went by kind of quickly. Because I mean, it's a decent time for me. Everything's run really smoothly. We didn't have any drama, you know, guys joining up or people map hacking or something like that. And we've had some pretty decent games, and I think the top two contenders really are the top two contenders. So that's pretty sick. Game number 2. It is this person's map choice. In the top right says the blue Zerg. She is Kyuubi. Oops. And in the bottom left, as the pink Zerg, she is Tilea. And in the best of 5, ZVZ, I'd imagine one person throws out an early pool. To be like, dedicated or not. But not this game. Lost and Found has its twists and turns and different pathways. And I do imagine we'll have a similar opening game. All Kyuubi has to really do when she looks back at that last game and says, what do I have to do to fix that? Oh, it is going to be a pool gas first. All right, then. A little bit of a mix-up. All she has to do is just say, like, I stopped making lings too soon. Or kind of combo, I didn't make enough lings, and I didn't make enough banelings. Because there's also a world where she made 4 banelings defensively instead of 2, and is able to micro them longer and save her third hatchery, right? Like, it's such slight differences in ZVZ. It's such a scary matchup, especially if you're the type to play around those Ling banelings and not just say, like, no, rush 10 minutes, let's go to roaches. But, speaking of lings and banelings, we will have fast speed. I don't know about the banelings. I don't know if there's going to be really an all-in here. That delayed good luck, have fun. Now Kyuubi knows that she's cheesing. How'd you give yourself away like that? I know this Overload's going to see the lack of hatchery, but we'll be able to scout when the hatchery is put down. So she'll know exactly what type of attack it is. Well, I guess you shouldn't say exactly what type. There's going to be a lot of question marks for the first 15-20 seconds here for our blue Zerg. You know, she sees no hatchery. She's like, oh crap, did I miss lings running across the map already? Then she sees no lings attack her, and she's like, well, are they turning into banelings? That doesn't make any sense to me. And then she's gonna say, okay, maybe it's just really fast speed. Really fast speed like this, I feel almost always goes into just a 2-base ling all-in, but I don't think it always does. So we'll pay attention to how many lings Tilea is making, as will Kyuubi. That much is for sure. But Tilea's already sending out another drone, so I think this is gonna be ling pressure into a fast third. to really gaining control over the map. Maybe even scaring Kyuubi a little bit too much. If Kyuubi goes for a Baneling Nest, overproduces Lings, really delays her third base, then Tilea comes ahead, even if she doesn't end up doing a lot of drone damage. She wanted to scout, but that was a very awkward Ling right there. There we go. These guys are gonna get scouts. Or are they? They're just gonna go ahead and scout. That third base is the intention, and that is good enough, really. And now with the third base down, here comes the real choice. You stay behind 5 drones and all in on that third base. You know, you're accusing Kyuubi of maybe being a little bit too greedy despite seeing that later hatchery. Or do you try and catch up in drones? Well, we see a lot of Lings. See at least 1 drone. Maybe more? Maybe more? Nope, more Lings. More Lings. Go for the Lings. Try and catch them before the Banelings are done. Try and catch them without Ling speed, right? Like, they don't have Ling speed for another 10, 13 seconds. That could have been something that could have worked. But I don't think it is. That's enough slow Lings, combo with the Queens. And while getting that Baneling Nest looks really, really, really nice, I'm not sure it's going to be possible. Speed finishes. It only helps in getting the concave. Obviously, Ling to Ling doesn't matter DPS-wise. A lot of scuffles going through here, but the Baneling Nest does survive. A couple of these Banelings should immediately turn into Banelings, so that Kyuubi is very ultra safe. As you know what? Kyuubi's making a bit of a mistake here. And by a bit of a mistake, I think it's actually a very big mistake. This should not do anything else, so I'm going to talk about this. The Overlord has moved away. The Overlord should be cautious of a Queen moving out on the map to try and kill it, but it should never just immediately evacuate, as you are now... You don't have any scouting. You don't know if they're making more Lings or not. Now, if you're just going to make more Lings anyways, and I guess it doesn't really matter, but... Usually you want the Overlord at the 3rd to check for it, and then an Overlord at the common path of reinforcement to see what they're producing. But it looks like Kyuubi's going along with the idea of I'm just going to make Lings anyways, so, you know, screw your scouting. I actually think that's hotkeyed to a different thing. Oh, Baneling goes off. Queen does get sniped. Kyuubi is now down 5 workers, however. 3 base to 3 base. Is going to get an Overlord here. It has a Spine Curler to help out in defense, but needs to do something about those drones. She has Ling. She's making even more Lings, so Tilea should stop making drones. And this is the back and forth that ZVZ does create. The ebb and flow. Who makes the right choice to stop droning, to stop making Lings, or stop making Banelings? And speaking of Banelings, Tilea never went for a Baneling Nest. If Kyuubi really knew about this, which he'd only know if she got a Ling into the main and natural, she might really pile on the pressure. But she's doing so anyways. She got drones, but she's making more Lings. Banelings get an okay connection there, but they really want this juicy one. They really want this juicy one. Oh, they get it! They absolutely get it. Revenge for last game is had. And Kyuubi, if she had 20 more Lings here, would absolutely be taking out this 3rd base. But unfortunately, the larva timing just did not really work out to her advantage. She's going to need to have more Banelings, but she has come ahead in those drones. And that is, I guess, ultimately what she wanted to have happen. But, you know, one of the reasons she became the leader in drones is because Tilea is actually going for a Carapace upgrade. So no Banelings, but now you have to have twice as many Banelings to take out Telea's Lings. This is going to complement matters. I was talking about Kyuubi's lack of scouting for the Baneling Nest. Did she transfuse that drone? Also got to talk about the lack of scouting on the Evolution Chamber. I think once you see they have Carapace, you're going to have to just, yeah, basically make twice as many Banelings. The Kyuubi's trying to get up to Roaches. She's not producing anything right now. She's actually just not producing anything. These are the types of moves that are going to get you killed. Oh, that was a good connection, however, so that's nice. They're finally using that bank, finally using the larva, now going up to a lair as well, something that Tilea is not even thinking about right now. She's purely thinking about using that +1 Carapace, trying to take advantage of Kyuubi's lack of Banelings right now. Almost all of them have been popped. 1 is alive and 2 more are on the way, but she doesn't know about the +1 Carapace. Is she clicking on the Lings that come across the map? Is she going to make more Banelings? 4 more Banelings are on the way. She has the ability to make Roaches, but she's actually supply blocked right now, so really Banelings are the best thing she can make. These mechanical slip-ups are, you know, what kills you at this stage of the game. When it gets to Roaches, maybe it's a little bit more calm. But that was a good hit. Remember, while Carapace lets you take 2 hits from a Baneling, if you take any damage previously, it's still going to one-shot. These Lings very, very low. But not low enough as the Queens go down. The Transfuse did not go down. Kyuubi trying to get a lot more Lings. 34 Lings on the way. Tilea going for a 4th base. Still no lair on the way. Just all Lings all the time. She still plays some pretty old school styles. I guess that's confirmed now. ZVT and ZVZ going up to that +1 melee as well. Kyuubi cannot stop making banelings. Banelings are going to be the safest way for her to defend. Yes, she could go for a lot of roaches, but she's going to need like 10 roaches safely guarded against a wall or something like that before she can truly feel confident against what is going to be double upgraded lings. These things will tear apart roaches, especially if they themselves don't have an upgrade. But these ling fights, sorry, are not going too poorly for the person without the upgrade. Very shocking right there, and probably one of the reasons Tilea even took those fights. She's probably a little surprised as well, but the surrounds are good. Simple as that. And now, as we take a breather, Kyuubi can go into the roaches. She spent a lot of minerals on a lot of different things, upgrades as well as all those lings that held the third base. She can just kind of, you know, slowly get these roaches up to a higher number. They will have their upgrades in about a minute here. And Tilea might be remiss that she didn't go for her own lair, her own roaches. But when you go for double upgraded lings for this long with added hatcheries, you're almost for sure going to go into mutas. I'm really drawn back from, like, Wings of Liberty ZVZ, by the way, for this knowledge. Ooh, banelings kind of get some connections. Spinecler really helps out. Almost a wall in some regards, but not a wall anywhere, actually. Really awkward. But that was definitely good enough. Tilea, though, headed up to the third base. There's just not a lot of drones to kill, so the banelings, while they do take 2 shots to kill the lings, there was enough of them. 3 drones is not that hefty of a loss. And while Tilea is getting farther and farther ahead on the economy, up to 5 bases now and 61 drones, Kyuubi will eventually have the better composition. She needs to keep your head down, basically. Play it pretty safe. You know, keep banelings in one area and roaches up against a wall in another area. She'd really love a wall, too, by the way, so this is really awkward. And she'll eventually get too many roaches for lings to ever truly contest with. Now, then we get into complicated discussions about base trades and the Spire, but, yeah. Nice and steady wins the race in this game for Kyuubi. Banelings get some good connections. The roaches now have that +1 missile as well, going on a +2 and +1 carapace themselves. And Tilea just going into 2-2. Funnily enough, an Overseer is probably checking for exactly what I'm talking about, that Spire. She realizes double upgrades have been in play for a while. I don't think she's so much scouting for a Roach Warren, although she would also need to scout any transition that would be underway. She just simply doesn't scout anything, because it's just still lings and banelings. No, I'm sorry, just lings. Tilea never got a baneling nest. Oh, that hatchery's getting awfully low. If she has any transfuses, she might want to use them. Lings get on top of the natural, and this is how things escalate. This is what happens when those lings have those upgrades and they just make nothing but lings. It's so hard to cover your bases, literally. That loss of a third base is quite a headache for our Blue Zerg, and I think Tilea might just be able to grab this game as well, getting this around on the roaches before their upgrades are done. This is going to be a bit more of a question mark, however, especially with the Spinecrawler helping out. Maybe Tilea shouldn't be doing this, but she is taking good enough trades, powered by that sick economy, that I guess it's working, basically. She's up to 6 bases now. That's not just economy, places to put your drones later when your minerals run out. That's also larva. She doesn't have a macro hatchery, she just has other bases. That's how she rolls. But she doesn't roll at all because she's some banelings. Kyuubi is one of those frustrating games, you know, there's like... I think this is actually true for every single race, actually. The most frustrating thing to lose to is probably mutas and lings. In this case, it's just lings. Is Tilea really going to go into... Well, if she goes into ling and fester, it's going to blow my mind, but this could just be for fast ultras as well. But I think she's going to win the game with pure ling anyways. Kyuubi never getting up to that ideal number of roaches. She never got up to the safe number of roaches, and then when she did, when she was almost there, she had to split them apart to defend multiple bases, and things just, well, they went to hell. Another cancel on that third base. At least the cancel is all you could say about that. More surrounds, and Kyuubi is going to have to tap out. GG, Tilea showing her strength as a competitor. But it's not over yet. Kyuubi might be learning as she goes. She's adapting. And she has a third game to try and mix things up. Actually, I was just reminded that I probably should contact our other semifinalist, Deity. Oh, damn it. Okay, well, whatever. Getting some time for Kyuubi to choose the map. Still a lot of maps to go and lots of mirror matchup. You know, there's some maps where the tricky things can happen. If she wants to make the game just as weird as possible, she could choose Redshift. Go for the gold. For true GM, you just need Darlings and Queens. Good pun. Acid Plant is her choice, so kind of a basic map, actually. Thank you, Pinochle, for the 100 bits. Kyuubi, waiting. Fighting. Okay. Oops. There you go. I love the sheer audacity of expoing every 3 minutes. Expoing? Why did I say it that way? Expanding is what I assume you meant to say. Yeah, it's a frustrating style to play against, but this was actually a somewhat, not normal exactly, but it was a decent way to play a long time ago. But I'll talk more about that after the introductions. In the top left, she's up 2-0. Could just close it out here. And here and now, it is the pink Zerg, Tilea. In the bottom right is the blue Zerg. She is Kyuubi. And yeah, what Tilea is doing, I mean, it's actually been some people's way of playing. Thank you, I am Pamper Drake, for the $10. This is really nice. Keep up the good work. Thank you. But right, both players taking hatcheries right now. So, you'll have players that just really like Lings throughout all of StarCraft 2's history. Obviously, we have less Ling-based games nowadays, but they still pop up on occasion. It makes me really excited too, because I love Ling-based play when I'm not facing it, when I get to watch it. But I think it was truly popular back in Wings of Liberty, and then you had remnants of it in Heart of the Swarm, because Ling Muta was the way to go in Heart of the Swarm. If you guys recall that era, that was a pretty fun era. I thought it was amazing. A lot of other people did not like Ling Muta and Heart of the Swarm, but whatever. Some people don't like Tankovax either, and I loved them. Now they're gone. But yeah, it was like, it's not so much the audacity or even BM. I hope no one misconstrues that as BM, because it's actually a way to play. And Tilea has a lot of old school styles of playing. We saw that with the Mass Queens versus Terran. Now we're seeing it with like that Mass Hatchery / expansion play. You have the momentum, you have the map control, you have the need to expand so you can get the larva. All those things make it so that extra bases, they don't feel so good. You know, if you're Kyuubi and you watch the mini map after the game, you're just like, well, that just, you know, doesn't feel very good. But it's totally a legit way to play, especially if you are winning, right? That just will extend your lead anyways. But there's no guarantee that Tilea will do the same thing, and that's, you know, part of the reason why I keep bringing up how these past tournament contenders can always do well in competition. They're always a contender if they have any practice whatsoever before the tournaments, unless they're facing, you know, legit pros. But you get what I'm going at. Like, they're better at deciding build orders. They're better at maybe reading their opponent. They're better at having that many build orders and being able to play out of their comfort zone, because they were forced to actually win some of the tournaments that were happening years ago where Tilea was a contender. You know, I think she was playing back when we had like the original iteration of WCS, the one that was in every region and was very small and like attached to MLGs. So you gotta punch above your weight sometimes in these tournaments. And that's what Tilea was certain to learn to do. Whereas Kyuubi, I know she plays in tournaments. At least that's what I've gathered. Not nearly the same effect. Maybe if she had really played a lot of tournaments back when she was 6100, she'd actually be on a lot of people's radars. But yeah, kind of died down, didn't play as much. So she's at a very solid state right now. She's having trouble against Tilea's varied builds and Ling aggression in general. I guess you can say that much. Consistent across the map so far, because we are going to game number 3, and we do have Lings and Banelings on the way. It's been about the Ling pressure, just different types of Ling pressure. Now Kyuubi, trying to build some safety Banelings, didn't really have quite enough Lings to cover for them, so only 2 end up getting made. 16 more Lings are on the way for Tilea. He's going to continue the aggression with an even-ish worker count, only down by 1. He's looking for Kyuubi to be underprepared. Kyuubi is trying to do the exact right thing to not be underprepared. She tried to make Banelings as fast as possible, and looks like it will just work out with a nice hit right there. Tilea has 12 more Lings on the way, but will go back into droning. They both have third bases, but this is more like that first game of the day, where everything looked like everything was going to be fair and equal, and they both were getting that nice damage done, and then all of a sudden, Kyuubi doesn't make more Lings, and Tilea kills her. So I'm sure that's just replaying in her brain right now as she controls these Banelings. Unfortunately, loses 3 of them, but doesn't quite take out every single thing, but she is overproducing Banelings, and that's actually what I like to see. I say overproducing, I don't really mean it. I just mean that she's making sure she has a lot of Banelings. She's not doing only 2 because she thinks, oh, I can do this. No, no, no. Go for 5, go for 6. Play really safe here. Tilea now with 26 Lings on the way, but also adding on the Roach 1 Evan, the Evolution Chamber. Both of them doing that, and both of them trying to find leads wherever they can. Kyuubi going for 6 drones, still with 5 Banelings alive. Should be fine. All coming down to control right now. If she can trade 2 Banelings for 2 right off the bat, that would be fine for her to do, I think. Oh, no, but 2 for 5 would be bad. That would be bad. Up. Okay. That's kind of awkward. It's a lot of Lings on the way. Her Overlord this time does see this. That is so many Ling scuffles going south for Kyuubi. He's now down in army supply. 22 Lings were on the way. No room to make roaches. No room for errors. Spine Color trying to be put up in kind of a neato spot, but it's still being surrounded and killed. No cancel. Kyuubi missing out on the injects, maybe. Missing out on the split second to continue building Lings. I'm not sure, but she is just fighting herself at a loss against Tilea's Ling Baneling pressure, despite her attempts to make as many Banelings as necessary. I will add that she is from Europe. We're playing on the Eastern American server, so there might also be just a tiny bit of that disadvantage there too. But Tilea just making pure Lings work here, only occasionally making some of her own Banelings. And not to get too hyped up in Tilea's favor, Kyuubi does hold. Very, very, very scary part though when she basically got no Lings to a lot of Lings. And she has started her +1 missile. It is behind that of Tilea's. It's also behind him +1. This counter did not do anything. There were no drones to take out. And this 4th base. Now, I know I was just talking a big game about how Tilea's game style last game was like, it was kind of understandable. This was brazen. This was bold. This was, I think I'm going to win the Ling War. Because you really don't see the 4th base be put down in a situation such as this. Banelings get some solid connections, but not solid enough. Kyuubi trying to be a little bit cheeky with that. Still ends up losing the Ling War. And is sent back home, but there are roaches waiting. So we might actually get to the roach play. And we'll see how these two perform with that. Roach play, obviously a lot slower than Ling Baneling. A lot less explosive. But there are still some ways you can really outshine your opponent if you think you're better with them. But I guess I spoke too soon about the Lings. They kill a 3rd, and that's pretty damn useful. Duke Markey for the Twitch Prime sub, and then Rotterdam with $10. Fun tourney for the ladies and you, Jess. Make it 50-50. Thanks for the show. Oh, thank you, Roddy. Oh, rip. Happy that you stuck around. You've got a busy schedule of being a Passion Master and streaming 8 hours a day. Oh, this is going to go very favorably for Tilea as they upgrade, but the Banelings are going to maybe complicate things. Her own Banelings are lagging a little farther behind. +1's about to finish. 8 seconds to go. Banelings crash into roaches, actually. They do not cancel each other out. I guess, Baneling to Baneling away. They both just do a lot of damage to the roaches. That's usually not how that goes, but so be it. Kyuubi is down 12 workers. This is basically all in, despite having a lair, despite having an upgrade, despite having roach speed. Losing this badly and realizing that Tilea has a 4th base when you are just now finishing your 3rd is bad news. So Kyuubi, this time, going to go much faster into that Hail Mary play at the Spire. Maybe it works out, but she just revealed to Tilea that I have a weakness. I just lost a lot of army. Please don't counterattack me. And Tilea is thinking, maybe I should counterattack you. So Kyuubi has to keep using all of her minerals and gas to make roaches. So even if her Spire did end up finishing before she tapped out, she wouldn't be able to make many mutas at all. I think the snowball effect is truly here, guys. Defender's advantage might kick in just barely. 10 army supply difference. Some drones going down over here, but not a lot, not enough. And eventually Tilea would have that +2 upgrade lead, so I think this will be it. GG, well played. Tilea takes the series 3-0. Well done. And thank you, everyone who participated today. If you are watching, for participating. Thank you. Actually, having a lot of people playing in the tournament is both a good sign for the, the whole idea of it, to have a nice, chill place to play a tournament, but also just is good for the organizers, me.